So you have the business idea for some sort of a home service business, something where you go to some person's house, you offer them your services, and they pay you in return. And you're wondering what the next step is. You have that idea, what next? Well, this is the point where a lot of people get to, and then they end up just dropping the whole idea of owning their own business just because it's daunting. No one wants to take that first step, just go out there on a limb and just start their own business. Because it may seem like this really hard thing that is super hard to get legal, super hard to get clients, super hard to do all this stuff, and it just seems like it'd be easier just to go right back to the 9 to 5. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I started my first business when I was 19. I went right out there, got it started, made some mistakes, learned a lot from it, and I would like to share with you what I learned along the way. The first step that I would recommend to anybody is get yourself legal. Start an LLC, get some sort of a corporation, get it so that you have a legal business. You can't just go out there and just start charging people money to do services. Everybody's going to have questions, and you're not going to have any way of showing that you're an actual business, so no one's going to want to hire you. It's very easy to go and get yourself an LLC. I believe when I did it, it cost me $50, and I was all registered within a couple of days. The next thing you're going to need is business accounts. So you're going to need a business email for sure. And then you may want to do things like start a Facebook page for the business. And you may also want to start an Instagram and a TikTok or anything other like that, just for advertisement, where you can post videos about the work that you do. One thing that I wish I had have done with my first business was I wish I had have gone and gotten a separate phone number when I started my business. Whereas instead, I just put it on my phone number. And later on, when the business started doing better, I wanted to have two separate phone numbers so that I could sort through my personal and my business. And so I ended up having to do that and having to have everyone that used to know my current number switch to a new number, because all my businesses, promotions and business cards and all of that went to my personal number. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put out ads. Get something out there that will tell people, hey, I'm here, this is what I do, and this is where I'm at. I highly suggest starting out with Facebook ads and then moving to Google ads. Facebook ads are really easy to start and not that hard to manage and maintain. I highly suggest going onto my YouTube channel and checking out the video that I will be making on Facebook ads and how to do those. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need equipment. You're going to need tools. You're going to need actual equipment for whatever you're doing, whether or not that's power washing, landscaping, tree cutting, all that. One thing that I recommend doing is not going into a ton of debt with buying all the equipment. Anything that you can rent, just go ahead and rent that. The next thing that's going to be very important is you're going to need to know how much the work is worth. One thing I highly recommend that I did was whenever I went out on a bid and I maybe didn't get the bid, or maybe I did get the bid, I always like to ask the client how much the other people's bids were. That way I knew what all the other services in my area were offering and at what price. The last thing I want to talk about in this short video is bookkeeping. It is very important that you keep all of your receipts and that you keep a record of any expense that was made through the business. I will be making another video on how to do this without having to buy any expensive software, and how to keep a very solid track of all your expenses for an accountant, so that at the end of the year, when it's time for tax season, you don't get just completely screwed over by taxes. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please drop me a like and maybe a subscribe. And if you were interested about learning more about any of these topics, I will be going into depth on all of these topics in later videos. So you can go ahead and go to my YouTube channel and check those out.